34 charges, 12 jurors, one often exasperated judge, and a parade of witnesses. After nearly 5 weeks, both the prosecution and the defense have rested in Donald Trump's history-making hush-money case. Closing arguments will begin on Tuesday, and then the jury will start deliberations. After that, it is anyone's guess when they will return and what they'll decide. But if he is found guilty on even one count, just one of a few possible outcomes, Mr. Trump would become the first former U.S. president with a criminal conviction, and the first major party candidate to run for the White House as a felon. Here are some key issues to consider if a guilty verdict is delivered. Mr. Trump has been free on bail throughout the trial. If the verdict is guilty, he will probably still be able to leave the court as a free man until Justice Juan Merchan schedules a sentencing hearing. The judge has several factors to consider in sentencing, including Mr. Trump's age, 77, lack of previous conviction, and possibly his violations of the court's gag orders. The sentence could involve a fine, probation, or supervision, or possibly prison time. Mr. Trump would almost certainly appeal against a guilty verdict, a process that could take months or even longer. His legal team would then face the appellate division in Manhattan and possibly the Court of Appeals. This all means it would be highly unlikely that Mr. Trump will leave the court in handcuffs, and he would be expected to remain free on bail while he appeals. The evidence of adult film star Stormy Daniels, whose alleged sexual encounter with Mr. Trump is at the heart of the case, could be one reason. The level of detail that was provided by Ms. Daniels is really not necessary to the telling of the story, said Anna Kaminsky, a professor at New York Law School. On the one hand, her detail makes her credible, and as a prosecutor, you want to provide enough detail so the jury believes what she has to say. On the other hand, there's a line where it could become irrelevant and prejudicial. Mr. Trump's defense team twice called for a mistrial during Ms. Daniels' testimony, motions that were denied by the judge.
It is possible, though highly unlikely, that Mr. Trump would serve time behind bars in the event of a guilty verdict. The 34 charges he faces are all Class E felonies in New York, the lowest tier in the state. Each charge carries a maximum sentence of 4 years. There are several reasons why Justice Merchan could choose a lesser punishment, including Mr. Trump's age, his lack of previous convictions, and the fact that the charges involve a nonviolent crime. It is also possible that the judge would weigh the unprecedented nature of the case, perhaps choosing to avoid putting a former president and current candidate behind bars.